Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Handmaid's Tale, Season 3, Episode 10. It's called Bear Witness. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. And also, who is this bear and what is he witnessing?
It's too hot for me to think of anything witty. I'm sorry.
It was a dumb joke. I'm not going to sit here and say it was high class art, but... Why do people always talk about bears witnessing things? What, the bears judge people for things? I don't know.
Maybe they're just amazing scribes and we just never knew.
Okay, that's what you come here for these Handmaid's Tale reviews for, this cunning wit at the start of the episode. So this episode has June coming home to Lawrence and being back in town in Boston and interacting with the handmaids again and kind of trying to formulate her plan to try and save not only her children but a bunch of other children. As delirious as that might be, and as insane and as dangerous as it is, because everyone she kind of like poses this idea to, they're like, "Are you kidding? We're all gonna get killed if we try this. Like, we can't do this. This is the most extreme. Like, as far as Gilead is concerned, trying to take their kids is like the worst possible thing we could do."
Yeah, pretty much.
And they'll hang us for a lot less than that, but they will make an example out of us if we even try that. I'm happy to say I think this was probably the best episode in a while.
Yeah, not without some faults, but it's definitely the best.
Because I mean, I was fairly positive on the last episode as well. I thought it was a nice step in the right direction. I think this one was better again, and I think it was better for a couple of reasons. One, it felt like the plot was moving forward because June was actually trying to enact her plan. And two, the main big thing that the episode revolves around in the second half of the episode is you know, because this show since the very start has always been kind of about the awful situations that the characters have to go through, and I think one of the things that's hurt the last few episodes, maybe not the last one as much, but the few before that, was it felt like we were kind of repeating things but that we'd already sort of had June go through, or all the characters go through.
Yeah,
and this felt very unique and new. This back half of this episode,
it did, yeah,
where it was about. You know, because Fred, they come in for this ceremony because they've brought Maloney's character to Boston, and they're here to see how much better has this section got since the bombing last year. You know, is it in tip top shape? Or, you know, is discipline good? Blah 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 blah, and you know he speaks to June for a little bit, and you know at one point they're all speaking to June because it's like because she's the one who came and visited the house, and
yeah.
They ask, "Oh, how are you enjoying, or how is it serving Lawrence?" And her phrasing is just a little bit too positive for Fred to be comfortable with. So it gives him this kind of insecurity where he kind of then poses later on in private, "Oh, maybe we should, check that Lawrence is abiding by Gilead's, rules." Yeah, he's. I want to investigate him. I want to make sure that things are actually going properly in that house.
We talk about when they come and they gather all the handmaids, they talk about rolling out what I assume is the stuff that they've got in DC, like the mouths and the cones and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, Maloney's not happy about the eye patch. He's very upset about that.
Not regulation, I believe was the phrase.
Lydia, bless her though, sticks up for it, and outright just stands her ground.
Because we know she actually doesn't want everyone with their mouths sewn shut.
Yeah,
but I got the impression that's what they were wanting to roll out, and she was like, "Well, it's all voluntary, and it's up to them whether they feel like they need it."
So we get the big scene, and obviously there's some stuff before this, setting up the various other things. But they come by the house, and June taken into the living area, and in walks Serena and Fred and Maloney, and there's actually a really helpful bit of narration here where she points out this is something that used to happen back in the early days of Gilead all the time. When it was new, when the handmaid system was new, and certain households didn't want to take part in it for obvious reasons, because husbands didn't want to feel like they were cheating on their wives, the wives didn't want to watch their husbands cheat on them, like really obvious reasons.
So they were kind of watched over.
Yeah, they were it was made sure that we're actually going through with it. Um, and it's all very obviously it's all very awkward and whatever. And they go up to the bedroom, and this scene is fantastic. It's fantastic in a number of levels.
Mm.
Performances are great across the board, but you have this wonderful because Lawrence is kind of like, oh, we're not going to do anything, honey. Don't worry. In fact, no, we should do something. I have got a deck of cards up here. Let me get that. That line made me laugh. It was like a nice little moment of relief for a second where he thinks, oh, we'll just play cards. We'll just do that for 20 minutes before we go downstairs. But June's seen the doctor. June knows there's a doctor downstairs, and she's like,
Yeah, I think it's notable. Obviously, in the early days, she's been through this. I think because she knows it too well.
yeah, probably.
Lawrence never did. Clearly, his status clearly meant that he never had to be tested. They were just assumed that, oh yeah, he's fine because he was clearly instrumental early on.
Yeah, and so there's this great moment where he's saying to his wife, "Don't worry, nothing. We don't have to do anything. Don't worry about it." And June says, "Actually, we do." And I think what's so powerful about this scene is that June has to be the one to convince him that it needs to happen, and then has to talk him through it, and has to kind of like try and make him feel better about it. And while there's obviously a really dark irony here because he is instrumental in the creation of this world, and it's something that this episode makes a point of reminding you of, because earlier on when June poses that they could escape together, his wife says he'd be a war criminal. They'd kill him for it, and he'd deserve it.
Yeah. But to his credit, it does sound like he has never performed a ceremony with any of the handmaids.
For whatever credit that's worth, he still set up the world.
No, it is. But I think it's interesting that even if he kind of established this world, even so early on, he wasn't following the rules himself. He was like,
Well, it's funny because one of the things we always talked about Serena is the idea that she helped create this world with her book and, campaigning for these values. And then ultimately, we always expect her to get to a point where she regretted the world she'd created. And I think what's interesting is that Lawrence might actually be more of a genuine representation of that, where he created this world. And June even has a line here which says, you created this world, and eventually it was going to come back to bite you specifically.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening in this scene. And I think what I like about this scene is that even though June could almost relish in this, that he has to go through with this, and kind of because he did help build this, I think June's actually at a point now where she's actually more sympathetic and understands mistakes that he's made. At the very least, she's sympathetic for his wife, who's bawling. There's several points in this scene where she's too loud, and they have to kind of try and calm her down. All these little moments are great. And it's a really great scene. And unlike scenes with Fred in season 1, where we always got the full ceremony, we always got the.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if we were going to, because obviously it's been so long since we've seen it. I thought, is this the moment that we see one again?
But I think the beautiful thing about not showing it and cutting away is that they put the wife behind a curtain so she doesn't have to watch. So it almost puts us in her shoes, where she doesn't actually have to experience it. She knows it's happening.
It's the same trick they kind of pulled with June and Nick, where it was like, okay, when it was them, there was some privacy. The way it treated as it was to me, it was clear saying, no, this is not like the ceremonies we saw.
No, it's definitely not like the ceremonies we've seen before. It is definitely different. It's a different dynamic completely. But it does feel weird to me because I think the privacy before, because it was intimate. This is not intimate. This is, I mean, hell, literally what June says right before it happens and before he turns out the light is, it's a transaction. It helps if you close your eyes. She's basically talking him through it. It's with someone of experience of being forced through this. And she's more sympathetic than I think I'd have predicted before. If you told me what this scene was going to be about, I might not have expected her to be as sympathetic as this towards him, but she is. Now, you could argue that she's actually playing a long game here, and she's being sympathetic because she wants something from it, and she does. That is true. But it felt kind of genuine to me. It didn't just feel like, no, she's just doing this to earn points.
No, and this is as much about her survival as well, and everyone else in the house, because...
Yeah, the Marthas.
As she points out, it's up to them to report. If on their commander.
Because Lawrence at one point, because like if you really don't want to go through with this, I mean, we can just accept that we'll be punished. We'll be hanged. But June points out, well, no, I think the wife wants that, but then he says, but no, handmaids are supposed to report it, and then June says, and the Marthas, we'd all be punished, for not reporting that this wasn't happening every month. So actually, I mean, I suppose in a way, you could say that he almost earns a sympathy in that moment, because the reason why he's willing to go through with it is that he doesn't want June and the Marthas to be punished for his misdeeds, if you will.
Pretty much.
So he does almost. It is almost out of like he's almost like. Again, you could read it as he's using that as an excuse to why he thinks he has to go through with it. But again, it feels kind of genuine that he might actually go along with his wife here. He might actually, like, if this is the choice she wants, because the fact that because the wife says at one point in this scene that you promised this would never happen. You promised that I never have to go through this. So it sounds like from the very start, because I think one of the things that people were theorizing early on is that like, she was the real power in the house, and I think what we've seen throughout this season is that's not really true. She's too broken to be the one in charge.
No, she's got moments, but she's definitely not in charge.
Yeah, but I think certainly he is, the entire time this has existed, he has been giving to her with whatever she's needed emotionally.
She's in charge in the context of he'll bend over backwards to do what he can for her.
Yeah, but she's not walking out of the room and saying, "I demand you make these rules," or anything like this. That said, she is gun ho about helping June early on, about finding files and all sorts.
Actually, like in regards to the fact that they've never done this ceremony. One of my favorite moments of that was when the Marthas didn't know where to stand.
Yeah, and Lawrence didn't know where the book was to read the passage.
Yeah.
Or is it just a Bible? I guess it's just a Bible.
I assume so.
It sounded like a passage from the Bible. I don't know my Bible that well.
I know it reasonably well, but I don't recall this one. But
yeah, I don't know what's in the Bible. It just sounds Bible-y. That's the extent of my my knowledge. So no, I thought this scene was really well done. It made you like. I think June suffered a good middle chunk of this season of being unsympathetic, which is kind of shocking given the concept of the show. Like, making her unsympathetic is actually kind of an achievement.
For me, even a lot of this episode, like early on when she's kind of in crazy mode still, is kind of the way I'm going to phrase it.
Yeah, she doesn't give a shit about like the consequences of anything.
Just do it. Yeah, it'll be fine. We'll get the kids. It'll be cool. I'm like, you're still not like, you're doing the right thing, but I still don't like you right now.
Well, Joe, I think it's different though from before, because I think this, like, you think that she's not really thinking this through, but like you said, it feels like crazy mode. It feels like she's kind of snapped almost, and she's like,
yeah.
I think you're sympathetic in a way of like, okay, I hope someone stops her because she is going to get everyone killed.
That's actually, I actually thought that's what a lot of this episode was going to be early on, was her trying and something going badly wrong and kind of snapping her back to reality.
Yeah, I could see that. But this episode brought back a lot of little moments of acting that I really liked. There was little glances and moments from June with Fred early on, Lawrence as well. When she first gets home and she follows him into the study and all these books are all stacked up all over the place. She's like, you could get her out. You could go too. You could, this is just. There's a great moment where he says, "What do you know about, the most a person can go through," or something to that effect. The idea of like being through everything. And she turns around and she eventually kind of like forms a smile and says everything. And I like that moment because as soon as he said that, I'm like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Who do you think we've been watching for the past 2.5 seasons?
Person.
Yeah. She's been through nothing but hell. She's been through more than you've ever been through.
Definitely.
So I like that moment, and then of course there's the moment after the ceremony where she comes downstairs and Fred, in the creepiest way possible, asks, how was it? And she's like, well, at least it wasn't you, and just walked out. And he's just standing there emasculated.
But Fred's annoyed at that as well, and as the fact that clearly the doctor checked and verified that it happened, so he hasn't got any grounds to move on Lawrence yet, so he needs to find a different excuse now, which I'm sure he will, but
plot and all that.
And
I do like, actually, in all this, when he's like first suggesting this, Serena doesn't seem to like it. Like, I think Serena senses that the motive here isn't
for Gilead. It's a private, personal vendetta.
But yeah, this is more of a vendetta. This is more.
She's like, fine, you go after Lawrence, I don't care, but she doesn't really want to be dragging the wife into it. I don't think more than anything.
Yeah, I also think though, like, part of it's like a jealousy thing. Like, I think he actually feels attached to June and
Yeah,
is jealous that someone else is with her, and I think Serena can sense that. I think she gets that that's part of what the motive is here, and rightfully feels very uncomfortable about that. So no, that stuff was all really really good. And of course, it's after this, Lawrence gives her some morning after pills, which apparently the the punishment for contraception has been ripped apart by dogs. So that's something.
And he's just like, it's a collector's item.
Yeah, yeah. So she's got morning after pills. I feel like you can medically check for that though, right? Like, let's say that she went a long time without conceiving, and she's in for a checkup. Would they be able to tell that?
Yes, but it's probably out of your system within a day.
So they'd have to check it
pretty quickly after she took it. Yeah.
Okay.
Which could happen. Don't get me wrong, because I mean the ceremony is at a scheduled time. They know when it's going to be. It would be very easy to check. 24 hours later to see.
Yeah. They would know when to check if that's what they were looking for specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, interesting. But he's like, no, I'll get your truck. In reference to like getting his wife out, and he's like, no, get her out as far as you can. He wants June to take her out of Gilead, and because he's seen how much this is devastating her, how much this is destroying her, and she's like, you can go too. He's walking out. She's like, you can go too. You just have to give them something. And I thought what she was going to say, because she knows that they wanted information from Nick. They wanted intel. Like the governments outside Gilead want to know what's going on in here, and who better than him? Like, he's like a high up commander. He helped create it. Like, he will know so much and give them so much intel. But she says, more of a peace offering. Give them children. Give them the children that have been taken from the handmaids, kind of thing. Yeah. And obviously that's beneficial to her because of her own daughter. But as we see earlier in the episode, she looks up all of the kids from all the other handmaids, many of whom had kids before Gilead that were taken from them, just like her. And he's clearly considering it. He doesn't say yes, but like he's definitely thinking about it. It's on his mind.
Yeah, I mean the obvious route is he'll go along with it, get them all out, and he'll get caught and take the fall.
Yeah, and that'll be his kind of sacrificial redemption of like.
Yeah.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
It does. I kind of hope it swerves it a little bit because it's a little bit too straight. I don't know how I want, and I don't have a specific thing I want them to do, but just something to kind of shake that up.
Yeah, you'd hope that he sort of gives his wife like a bunch of like documents or something to help.
Yeah,
with other things. I don't know. Gilead, top secrets, whatever. Record a memoir,
which he seems to just not give a shit about and casually leaves lying around.
Yeah. So, and one of the things we find out about Janine's son from before Gilead, not the any kid she's had since she's been a handmaid, but her son is dead. He died in a car crash. And
Janine's son,
yeah.
Yeah.
And again, and I think going back to June becoming more sympathetic by the end of this episode, I actually think she makes the right call at the end of this. She goes back out of the supermarket, and earlier on the handmaids were kind of like, no, we shouldn't try any of this. This is insane. We're going to get killed. She brings up, details about their kids. And it's like, no, hey, I found this out. This is where your kids are staying. This is, what they're called now. And it's like, okay, this is starting to feel more serious. And, I've got access to a truck, because at this point she's kind of secured that. It's like, okay, right, we'll look into this. We'll try something.
But then Janine's there listening in.
Yeah, and she wants to help.
And you kind of go, oh shit, she's a bit of a wild card.
And she asks about her son, and essentially she's told that he went to live on a farm. That's the gist of the story.
Yes.
But honestly, even before she started saying,
beach in California.
Yeah, even before she started saying anything, though, I was like, you can't tell her the truth. This will break her. You have to give her some sort of happy story.
Yeah,
and I think it's the right call.
She'll find out eventually.
Sorry,
I think she'll find out eventually, and she'll hate June.
Sure, once you're in Canada, tell her. Like, be honest with her, but like, you can't tell her right now.
No, absolutely not.
I think this is the right call. I don't think this is. I think this is sympathetic June. I think this is the heartfelt way to
Oh
go
yeah,
with
I'm
this.
not disagreeing with this.
Yeah.
Like I said there's a mild concern that even with Janine being told this, she might just mention something to Lydia because she's just a bit of a loose cannon, right? Like not intentionally. I don't think she's like
Yeah.
gonna go and rat them out like like the previous handmaid did. Like I'm not saying she's gonna do that, but I don't know if she can be trusted not to accidentally say something because she is that broken.
But she is brave. She assures us she's brave.
Yeah.
She assures us she's brave. So I actually dug this episode. The episode has a couple of things at the end. One is that they set up at the start of the episode that the network has this code for saying yes and no, where they send different baked goods to the house. Scones for no, muffins for yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of muffins at the end.
Yes, there's basically every Martha who's been asked to help with getting the kids out has responded yes with muffins.
Yes.
So we get this sea of muffins.
They're feasting tonight.
Yes. That's actually one of the details that I liked early on in the episode is that when June came in and learned about the scones, even though it was bad news that it was because they were looking for medication for Eleanor, Lawrence's wife, and June started eating a scone at the end of the scene, and I thought, yeah, well, they said no, but you might as well eat the scone. But
yeah. Don't let them go to waste.
But she's thinking though, but it's not just a literal eating. It's like she's using it to fuel herself to think. She's clearly got her thinking brain on, and she's kind of
yeah.
But it was a neat little touch. But at the end, she's like, "We need a bigger boat. We're going to need a bigger boat." Makes a George reference, so
yeah,
that's fine. So Lawrence made two trucks,
which I actually thought was an odd choice of reference, given that was about okay, we need a bigger boat to hunt, whereas this is an escape. I don't know. The hunt analogy didn't really feel like it fit.
I don't think it's meant to be an analogy.
No, but it just felt like that's the whole point of that quote. Context is important if you're going to quote things.
I have heard that line quoted in a number of contexts, and very rarely are they anything to do with hunting.
Okay, sure, but it's usually going after something like this is the opposite to me. So I don't know. It felt like a weird choice.
I had no problems with the Jaws reference at the end of the episode. It's just a classic line which works in this context, even if it's not the context in which it was originally uttered.
Which defeats the point of using it as a quote.
No, it doesn't. It can subvert it. It's fine. Yeah. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. You can just quote any way you want. As long as it works in some context, it's fine.
You're wrong.
I disagree. So Serena's caught on to the fact that Fred's just doing things for himself, and they've been dragging this legal battle, this diplomatic battle to get Nicole back all this time, and she offers him with a new option, where she met someone in Canada, and this is not how I expected her using this radio phone to come into play, or the satellite phone. She is like, hey, and I don't think she's saying that she wants to move to Canada. I think what she's saying to him in this scene is, if you give them some intel, they might offer Nicole up.
Yeah.
And obviously,
kind of the box.
And obviously, this isn't something that Gilead can ever find out about. This is something that he will be hung for if they ever find out he gave them anything. But she's saying, hey, give them a little bit of carrot, and we can get Nicole back.
Pretty much.
She's wanting
it's just whether or not he wants Nicole badly enough to go down that route.
It'd have to be pretty badly.
I would, and I'm not sure he gives a shit about the kid as much as Serena does. Frankly.
Yeah, and he's pretty pro Gilead, so the idea that he's going to betray the ideals and the state, essentially.
They're actually going to have to do a lot to convince me he goes along with this.
I think if he goes along with this, it's not about Nicole. It's purely about Serena.
Most likely, but they need to do a good job of showing that.
Yeah. So no, that was a good episode. This felt on form for the show.
Yeah, this is definitely the best in a while.
Yeah. Everything, the misery stuff all felt new. It was a different dynamic because instead of June being just the outright victim, she was actually talking Lawrence through things. And then on top of that, you have advancement of the actual plot and what the plan is for the season. Of course, there's this assumption that all of it's going to fail by the end because we have to have a season 4. But we'll see how it does it, how it goes through with it.
Have they renewed it for a season 4 yet?
Not yet, but I mean,
no. Obviously, they never announced it as like a third or a final season. It was just so the assumption is there will be a 4 until they say otherwise.
Yeah. I would expect one. It's still a really popular show for them.
I would too. It's one of their biggest hits, isn't it?
Yeah. So we'll see. I do. Maybe they'll do something ballsy. Maybe they will do something ballsy, like completely shake up the status quo. Like, and admittedly, I don't know if you can do a season with June not being in Gilead, but
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah, are they too scared to do that? Because I mean, a lot of people feel that they didn't change up things enough for season 2, and then certainly for season 3.
I can understand that.
I didn't feel it in season 2. I feel it a bit more this season.
No, like I said, I don't necessarily feel it in season 2, but I can understand where people are coming from, even if I didn't quite agree. I think at this point, though, it does feel like we need a more dramatic shift going forward.
Yeah. But I think it's one of those things where they're so scared of not having the core thing be June and Gilead going through miserable things. That's the core like thing the show is revolved around.
They don't want to lose what the point of the show was.
Even though it's natural for it to move past that. It's weird for me to compare it to this, but it's almost Smallville syndrome, where instead of having him become Superman after a couple of seasons when it makes sense, we drag it out for potentially years and years. I mean, obviously this may not do that, but
no, this does feel like a response to the fact that obviously, adapted from a book that only went to roughly the end of season 1.
Yeah, there was a few things I think that weren't in season 1.
Yeah, a little bit here or there, but the overall narrative was there, and they kind of don't want to go beyond that safety zone of sticking in roughly the realm of what it was based off of.
Here's hoping to take some chances. I think.
Yeah, I think they need to.
Yeah, and I don't know what it becomes. Does it become more of a war show in season 4 if she gets out? Like, where
I don't know, but it's that's up for them to decide and surprise us, I think.
Yeah. Not that I think she's getting out. I mean, if I was to make any predictions about how this season ends, is that somehow June is not getting out, and that's more of a cynical thing than what I want. But
yeah, no, I'm with you. They'll find a way to keep her trodden at the bottom of Gilead.
Like, they should somehow get her daughters out, but she doesn't get to go because she gets captured at the last second.
That'll be so frustrating.
Yeah, and how does that affect her knowing that her daughters are safe? Does she just stop giving a shit at that point and like, well, you can kill me if you want, I don't care anymore. Like, I've achieved the one thing I cared about.
Yeah.
I don't know. I said daughters. The one daughter's already out. You know what I meant.
Yeah.
Little daughter. So there you go. That has been episode 10 of season 3 of The Handmaid's Tale. We got 3 left, so we'll see how episode 11 fares next week. Let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and everything we do here, you can head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses, get some stuff early. But otherwise, check out other content we do. We just wrapped up Big Little Lies season 2. That just finished this week. Coming up in the next few weeks, we'll be starting Dear White People season 3. That is not, I was going to say 2. Season 3. Mindhunter season 2 is also starting soon. So there's other shows coming that may be worth checking out. So go have a look at everything else we do. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?